Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Carrie from KDS Insurance Services down in Texas. How are we doing today on this beautiful Tuesday? It is almost springtime. I'm coming to you today because, first of all, let me take my glasses off because I know those blue rings are there. Okay, what are we talking about today? We are talking about teenage drivers today, and when do you have to turn them into your insurance company, or when do you have to let your insurance company know that your teenager is driving? The insurance companies actually may find out on their own without you notifying them, because the insurance companies, I don't know about in every single state, but in several states that I'm licensed in, they actually run driver's license reports for households, and they check to see if there's any unidentified drivers that are listed at the address that your insurance is at. Okay, so they run these reports occasionally to determine who's in the household and who's driving. They're entitled to do that, just FYI. So occasionally you might get a report from your insurance agent, or you might get a direct conversation or communication from your insurance company, and they say, oh, by the way, who is this individual that's in your household? Please identify them. Let them know who this person is and what their relationship is to you as the insured. This just happened in my agency twice in the last 10 days, where my client got a message from their insurance company and they wanted to know who X, Y, and Z are. Well, it happened to be in these two cases that these were teenage drivers in the household that were getting ready to start their driver's training courses. And it's done by age, obviously, right? So in these particular cases, you have the right to take your child, especially here in Texas now, where the majority of our driver's training is done by parent-taught programs, where you as the parent take your child in the car and you teach them how to drive. Okay, the old days, like when I was in school and we had a trailer at our high school where we went to the trailer and we actually learned how to drive, those days are I don't even think that that's done anymore. So the majority of this is done through parent-taught training. You complete the class, you fill out the paperwork, you go and you take your test, and then you submit it all to the state, and then you have driver's training on your record, and it's a parent-taught program. Now, in the state of Texas, 90% of the policies are what we call permissive use, meaning you as the named insured get to give permission to anyone to drive your vehicle. You are giving permission for that person who is not a named insured, which is normally husband and wife, or two people that live in a household together that are named insureds. You are giving permission for that unnamed insured to drive your vehicle. And when you do that, the vehicle insurance is primary. So you are the owner of the vehicle, you insure the vehicle, and so even if you give that vehicle to somebody else, your insurance is still responsible for any damages that your vehicle does to somebody else. You are legally responsible. That's why you have to have liability insurance. So you give permission for your teenage driver to get behind the wheel and drive your vehicle. Okay, so you can teach them how to drive. The question is, well, am I covered when I do that? Yes, you are. Even though the individual doesn't have a license yet, they are working on a permit, and so you are protected in the event that your teenager who you are teaching to drive, who has permission from you, has an accident and causes damage to somebody else's person or property. So yes, the answer to the question is yes. When do you legally have to notify the insurance company that you have a licensed driver in your household? When you have a licensed driver, when they actually have their license. The way you do that is to let your agent know, send them a copy of the license. If they're a good student, you want to make sure they get a good student discount. If they're brand new and they happen to move away to a college, for example, it does happen where kids don't get their license until they're 18 to 20, and they move away to go to college, Then you want to let your agent know that they are a driver in the household, but they live away at college. That's another really important piece of the puzzle. Their license, their good grades. So you'd need their last and most up-to-date grade report from whether it's a college or a high school. You'd need a copy of their driver's training certificate, what you've just completed if you're a permitted driver that now has a license, and then a copy of the license. So the agent can put it in your file, notify the insurance company, and then is when your insurance rates will go up. And the standard rule of thumb has always been, in the 40 years that I've been doing this, plan on at least $100 more a month. That's pretty substantial. That's pretty standard, because normally what happens is you buy a vehicle. I would always encourage you to buy a vehicle that does not need comp and collision on it, because that is going to be exorbitantly high premiums to have a brand new vehicle with a brand new driver that needs comp and collision on the vehicle. That's just going to cost you a lot of money. So if that's the way you go, just be prepared for that. And I would say that number would be then at least double, 200 or more per month. It's really important. Make your teenager accountable too. You know, if you want to drive, you got to have good grades. If you go to work, you know, to pay for the difference, that's great too, because then they're learning what responsibility is. Also, another rule of thumb, this is just my personal opinion, and this is what I teach my clients, and this is what went on in my household. When you are a new driver, no one else is allowed in the vehicle with you except an adult. So no other additional teenagers, because what happens then is they get way too distracted. The other kids are on the phone and they become distracted. Another very important thing that is new because of our society and where we are now in our society, no cell phones are allowed in use. They need to be put in the console. They do need to be left on, however, but no inbound text messages and no inbound phone calls are allowed. The only time that the child is allowed to answer the phone is when the vehicle has come to a complete stop. And I don't mean at a stop sign. I mean at a complete stop where they are off the road, to ensure that they are at all times paying attention to what they're doing and not worried that their phone is going to go off or they're going to miss a text message. It is a scary number now to know how many accidents we have because our teenage kids are on the phone. It's a devastating number. And in the state of Texas, you're not supposed to be able to do that, but it is not enforced. So you as parents definitely need to enforce that. No driving with anybody else, no other teenagers in the car, only an adult. And then the phones cannot be used unless the car is parked somewhere, completely parked, not at a stop sign or at a red light, or even in a drive-through, okay? Because accidents happen in drive-throughs. This is really, really important, because you're going to get a substantial rate increase from adding your teenage driver. The last thing that you want on top of that is for a brand new teenage driver to have a surcharge on their record for 5 years. Because then you're talking 22, 23 years old before they have a prayer of having decent rates. Because accidents stay on your record for 5 years and they're surchargeable for 3 years. So the insurance company is allowed to surcharge you for 3 years. They're also allowed to not give you an accident-free discount for 5 years, regardless of whether or not it's the driver's fault. If you've had an accident, you've had an accident, and you're going to lose that discount. That goes for everybody, by the way. So it's really important. I'm Carrie from KDS Insurance Services. I'm here to help you understand the crazy, complicated, and confusing world of insurance. I post videos a couple of times a week because I'm here to help you understand and make the very best decisions you can, because they will affect you financially. They truly will. My social media and my pages are designed to help you successfully have the best life you can and have it all successfully. It is possible with hard work, dedication, love, and knowledge. The more you know, the better off you're going to be as a consumer, as a driver, and in this case, with teenage drivers, as parents. So please shoot me any messages. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer any questions. Please, if you would take a moment and hit that bell, subscribe, please. That helps me out tremendously. And I look forward to talking to you in my next video. If you're out there with your teenagers, be stern, be understanding, and help them to drive the right way. It's a really important part of being a parent, is helping your kids learn to drive a vehicle the right way and to be accountable. So God bless everybody, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.